All right, welcome back to the New Legend podcast. Today is part 2. We sit down with Fred Williams again and wrap up our conversation. Pursuing vision. How do you get things done in life? Fred is a great dude. This episode is brought to you by Free Spirit Recreation, FSR. If you've ever dreamed about sleeping in a rooftop tent, or had the pleasure to sleep in a rooftop tent, or are just thinking about a better way to camp, go check out Free Spirit Recreation. Game changer, in my opinion, to be up off the ground, to be safe, and to do it in a high quality, well-built platform is why we love FSR. Innovative products. You see them on our Instagram and our videos. They've definitely enhanced our adventures and trips. So go check them out if you think about it. If you have any questions, shoot us a message, man. We'll answer whatever we can. And they are easy to talk to as well. So you can go check out Free Spirit Recreation or FSR. Get on the road, and thanks for listening. That's good. Thanks for the kind of overrun of your history in the show. It's super cool. Again, that episode for us was like, you guys came out to Iowa. That was like a highlight of our year. It was so fun to hang out with you guys.
So what we did was we bought a Scout in Kansas, drove it up to Iowa, and did some fixing up to it. And we call it the Scout House because it's a Scout that has like a slide-in camper on the back, which is really popular right now. Everybody loves these overlandy type things, which is basically just what we used to call camping. And it was a cool Scout. And I've seen like Bronco versions and Blazer versions, but I'd never seen a Scout one. And so we got turned on to it by a viewer, and we went and bought it, and I got a hold of you, and we took it there, and we did a lift kit on it and some gears and lockers. And then we went further in Iowa to a buddy's property and took it off-roading and broke it, and that was kind of the show. Yeah, we kind of break a lot of stuff on the show, but right. I mean, like, we're not going out there just to drive dirt roads. We're going out there to entertain and have fun.
But it's just fun to see you guys. Like, what I love about Fred and Dave is like the guy I'm sitting here talking with is the same exact guy on screen, same exact guy off screen. Like, I think that's really important. Just being authentic.
I actually had somebody come to a shop where I was once, and they wanted to meet me just because they wanted to find out if I was really like that. And I was like, really like what? Like, this is, like, I don't have a crew of guys that build the truck. I have Dave, and Dave is worth his weight in gold. Like, he is a crew of guys in one guy.
And he's hilarious. I love Dave.
Yeah, he's hilarious. But it's just Dave and I. And so, like, when we're going through ideas for shows, we're like, oh, we could do this, we could do this, and we could do this. We got 5 days. How are we going to do all of that? And so, like, we're always roping ourselves back in because we're the ones that have to do it. Like, we don't.
That's right.
We don't stand in front of the camera and then, like, go sit in our trailer and have cocktails while the crew comes in and builds the thing. Which I'm not saying that's what other car shows do. It'd be nice if that's what they'd let us do, but we don't get that luxury. No, it's fun. This is what we do. We build stuff. And
and it's like it's fun. You guys do a lot of cool stuff. So that's a great kind of recap of that. So let's tie into like maybe a byproduct of the show, and that's inspiring people to get out and have adventures. Why do you think adventure, like, namely, I'm not talking like bowling as a hobby, but like adventurous hobbies, like, why are they so important for people?
Well, I feel like it helps to expand your horizons a bit, whether you're going to a third world country or going rock climbing in Moab or like driving a Jeep without a top across America in the middle of the winter. Like, so awesome. I think any of those things like expands your options in life and also kind of expands like what you are capable of doing. Mm-hmm. Like, there was a time where, like, we humans were, like, in a little clump in Africa, the Middle East, wherever they think we all started. And we walked all the way like across Europe and Asia and across the Bering Strait and walked down through North America and just walked. Like we just went and we're like, oh, let's go see what we can find. And there was a time where like...
Or built boats, dude.
Yeah, built boats, and then we were like, oh, here's a new plant. You eat it. Oh, it killed him. All right, don't eat that plant. We are innately... We have been doing it for 200,000 years where we were just like exploring, looking for new stuff. And our brains are wired like, there's this dopamine thing, the way I understand it. I'm not a brain scientist, but you see something new and your brain is like, new, bing, and it gives you a shot of dopamine because you're like, wow, this is new, and you like it. And then you're like, all right, seen that. Another new thing, bing, you get another shot of it. And that's why we have these phones and we sit here and we scroll through Instagram and Facebook because it's like showing us new stuff.
Yeah.
And our brain is just like ding, 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 and it's feeding us dopamine and we're like, rah, and we're getting addicted to these. And there's a point where it's like we need to turn the phones off and go get the dopamine from the rest of the world and like see what we can do as humans and what our bodies can take as far as the weather and the terrain and the hiking and the biking and the exercise and like scare the crap out of yourself every now and then just to kind of wake up a little bit. And like a year ago, I drove a truck that I have to Alaska. And it was a solid 7-day drive in this truck. And
that's long.
It doesn't have air conditioning. It doesn't have a radio. It's a stick shift diesel, loud, big 40-inch tires. And I drove up in the middle of August, and like first 2 or 3 days, I was like, this is terrible. This is so dumb. This truck is loud. It's obnoxious. I'm like going deaf. And you get settled, and then you can't see what you can do. And then all of a sudden, like 3 days in, like I was in Bellingham, Washington, and there's a ferry boat that goes from Bellingham up to Alaska. And I was like, I wonder if I could just get on that and not have to drive all the way across Canada. Well, the next day I crossed into Canada, and then it was a whole new game.
That's cool.
It takes your body and your mind a couple days to kind of detox off of phones and air conditioning and like all your normal stuff and kind of start to settle into like the wild. And then you're like, oh, this is great. And you just kind of chill out and you drive and you look at stuff. And then you're like, well, there's a black bear right there on the side of the road. There's a glacier. Look at that. And then you're like, there's another bear. Look at there's deer. There's a moose. And you just like a buffalo. And you just kind of like, you chill out even though you're doing more.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Because like before that, you're just like tense and nervous and worked up, and you're like, this isn't my normal comfort zone, and I don't have my normal half and half in my coffee, and I don't have my normal bathroom, and everything's weird. And then it's like, all of a sudden you're like, just chill. And it's funny because I picked up my buddy, Steve, Steve Sanders. He flew to Alaska. And by then, I'd been on the road for like over a week, and I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And Steve landed, and he was just like, I could just feel his like, he was tense and like trying to like deal with stuff at home and at the office and his kids and his wife and I was like, okay. And I'm just driving, and then like the next day, and it was like all of a sudden he was like, this is Alaska. It's beautiful. Wow. It took him like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm moving here. I'm going to move to Alaska. This is amazing. I was like, yeah. And I think that the adventure that we like do is almost more relaxing than the relaxing that we do. Like, I don't want to sit in front of a television. I don't even own a television. Mm-hmm. Like, my girlfriend made me get a couch because I only had one chair to sit on. And I was like, I don't really want a couch because I don't really want to sit. Like, I feel better when I'm in the shop and I'm working on something than when I'm sitting at the computer for a day. And I have to sit at the computer and do stuff. But it's like, we're not made to sit and watch television, get bad backs and fat and lazy. And it's like, you gotta, like, and it's, adventure can be as much or as little as you're comfortable with. I don't poo-poo people that need a Unimog with a whole home on the back, or a guy that has like a Suzuki Samurai and a Igloo cooler full of beer. It's like, pick your level. Like, everybody's got their own level, and they can all, and it's fine. It's like, I'm not gonna judge you. I just think it's great that you're willing to try it. And I've driven across America in an open Jeep that had nothing, and I've driven across America in brand new cars, and it's like, this is nice, but like, everybody, and I definitely think, like, as you get older, you're kind of like, I'm kind of over that. I'm ready for this. But I also think that, like, when you're young and you're capable, you need to do that stuff.
Yeah, because isn't that the funny thing? Like, when you're young, like my kids, like, we've been on the road for like 9 days now, camping every night. We finally broke down after like day 10. My wife was like breaking down. I'm just like, I know how to read the signs. So I'm like, okay, let's get a hotel. So you can have a hot shower and just chill a little bit. But they're averse to it a little. Like, this just comes in waves. I found with my kids, like, rather than just a settling in, which is starting to happen now. There's like, okay, Liv had her breakdown. Owen had his breakdown. Now Heather's having her breakdown.
Well, and it takes a couple of days to like, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you have a breakup, you don't get over it in a day.
Right. That's
You're
right.
used to this.
Yeah, that's
and now
right.
you don't have this. And it's the same with a job or your house or your whatever you're used to. When all of a sudden you don't have that, like, and it might take you 3 days, it might take you 3 months, it might take you 3 years to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're like out in the wild or out in the world or out seeing something different, you start feeling that next thing.
Yeah.
I mean, life's a pendulum. And it goes from really bad to really good. And if you think that you can just live it here where it's not swinging, you're going to see this much.
Yeah, that's right. But a lot of people do, man. That's what I find is so valuable about.
But if you're willing to, like,
That's right.
check out the ends of the earth, then you're going to see some cool stuff. And you're going to have some terrible days, and you're going to have some amazing days.
That's a great analogy.
What's the one I heard the other day? Like, a ship is safe in port, but a ship is not made to be in port.
Yeah.
And we're all just, like, we're ships. We're cavemen safe in cave, but not made to be in cave.
Yeah.
Made to be out running down rabbit and
Especially with
chasing cave girl and whatever, like finding some bush to eat that isn't a rock or a poisonous mushroom.
Yeah.
So I think that's just like, that's what we are. Like, we're wherever you think we came from, whether it's God or aliens or Buddha or whatever your thing is, it's like, we're here now. We've been here for a couple 100,000 years doing stuff. You realize that we, like, the theory, the latest science that I've read, humans have been on Earth 200,000 years. It took us 100,000 years before we started using tools. So for 100,000 years, we were just like, somehow we survived. But like, we didn't have like an axe or a spear. We just somehow survived with just our weak little claws that are not very sharp and our like stupid little feet that aren't super fast. We were just able to be just smart enough to like survive. And I don't know how we did it, because it's like, there's so much stuff out in the world that you think could kill you.
For sure.
But you think about it, you're like, we survived for 100,000
Yeah.
years without any of this stuff. No roof, no. So I'm like, I bet we can handle a lot more than we're actually letting ourselves.
Yeah, that's
handle.
good, man. Like we recently took a group of customers to Moab, and I think, well, just about all of them, to some degree, it was like their first time, like really doing like some adventurous off-roading. And man, the feedback and that high, like the kind of high that they experienced, like this is amazing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that brings so much joy to me to experience it for myself and to see other people and my kids experiencing it. It's just such a rad thing. Like one funny story, my buddy Antal, his kid, he does like drifting. He's kind of an adventurous guy, and his kid is like 6, I think, and he's used to being around that. So like we're in Moab, and he's in a car seat in the back of this 1963 Scout 80. And he's just literally like he's asleep in the back seat. He's just
bobbing
like,
around.
Bam, bam. But that's such a great way to grow up, man, experiencing that. And hopefully he'll take that into his life.
And like my dad, he didn't take us 4-wheeling, but there wasn't a side road he wouldn't turn down just to go see where it went.
Cool. Yeah,
And
that's
we would
great.
be like, we're never going to get to grandma's. We're never going to get home. But like now I'll do the same thing. I'll
That's
be like,
right.
I wonder where that road goes. And just, if you got the time, go check it out. And it's like, people ask me like, how do I get into 4-wheeling? It's like, well, you just drive, go look at stuff. Like you'll eventually find other people that are just out there lost as well.
Yep.
And then you just team up and we're like, hey, let's go drive up this road together. Oh, you're stuck. I'll pull you out. Oh, I'm stuck. Now you pull me out. And it's like, oh, we're both stuck. I guess we're going for a walk. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't really, it's not rocket science. Like nothing that we do, like we're not teachers, we're not farmers, we're not doctors. Like those 3 people we need in the world. You need people to teach the kids, you need farmers to feed the kids, you need doctors to keep everybody healthy. The rest of us, not important. So don't think that you're important, no matter if you're a CEO or whatever. Like if you're not doing one of those 3 things, you're not that important. And like, my job is not important. All I do is entertainment. So I'm just like, well, somebody's got to sit there waiting to go get an x-ray because they broke their arm riding their dirt bike. They can watch dirt every day on their phone and they'll be entertained. So I'm like, I'm doing a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, I don't ever think that like what I'm doing is so important. Like, I'm just building trucks. It's like, we're just here to have fun and try to keep people entertained.
Yeah. But what I see, man, is it actually is I appreciate you saying that. You're a humble guy. I know that. But it's really important. I see a lot of, like, particularly men who like their mental health and well-being is so tied to like their projects. Like, cause it's like in some way, like you said, it's just therapeutic. They're doing a job they don't love to do. They're gritting things out. And like women are not like very different, but I see it mostly in men. But man, the opportunity to go put the key in the Scout and go for a drive, or go out in the garage and wrench on like that checklist. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but like go like, tonight I'm going to mount my compressor, man. Yeah. And they just get so excited about it.
Well, I get people that are like, I'm getting nothing done on my project. What's wrong? Come finish my project for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't finish other people's projects. Like my job is just to get you motivated to work on it, because like, it's not easy. It's a pain in the ass doing these things. Like you're going to smash your fingers and you're going to cuss and you're going to throw tools and it's like, and I don't know why we think it's fun, because there's way more nice. Like you could go inside and watch television and be way more. But when it's done, you're like, look at this thing I built.
That's right.
So I think
that's a mystery, man.
Well, yeah,
it's not fun.
But
it's fun.
We've done videos. I did a video recently. We did some videos called MotorTrend Working From Home, where we filmed them ourselves. And I was like, I had a goal to do one project on one vehicle, and it went completely sideways. Nothing worked. And I just filmed it all. And I was like, look, this is the way it is. Like, and don't get, you can get frustrated, but just put the tools away and go deal with it later. Come back later and work on it. But like, you just gotta, I don't know how to, like, the way I get motivated is I look at the vehicles that my friends built, and I'm like, that's cool. I want to go work on mine.
Yeah.
And whether it's like the stuff that you watch, like if you watch the show and it gets you motivated to go in the shop and work on it, good. And if you read a magazine, good. Or if you see a truck on Instagram and you're like, wow, that's a cool truck.
One of the best motivators is like planning a trip.
Oh, yeah.
If you say like in 3 months, man, I'm going to Moab or I'm going to Colorado.
Then you will start your project in 2.5 months.
But you'll get something
and
done.
It'll be the night before and you'll be like, hey, can you overnight me a T18 because I just figured out mine's full of water, but I need to be in Moab tomorrow. Yeah.
That's how half our trucks get built for our personal stuff. But like how it is like, I had a rare sense of accomplishment like for this trip. Like, so we had this California trip and like Moab and California trip prep. And I have this little FSR adventure trailer. It's like simple like box.
That's dumb.
Well, maybe. But
I think adventure trailers are dumb.
It is
because it's like you're bringing a whole bunch of extra stuff.
Yes,
but I'm giving you.
But I have a wife and kids, and it's helpful.
Everybody has their comfort level.
But so like I've told people on the show this before. Like for my wife, having a hot shower, she'll sacrifice a lot of things if she can just have a shower. But when I've tried to like go, you don't need that. Like, who am I to tell her she doesn't need a shower? And I appreciate that she wants to be clean. So I put this hot water shower system, and like when she got to use it on this trip, I was like, that's rad, dude. I had no idea what I was doing. I just like watched some videos, put this hot water, put a water tank, a pump, and a heater, and a propane tank. And now my wife's taking a hot shower and she loves it.
Was she like, this is as good as that?
Yeah, dude, she was stoked. She's like, this is actually really awesome.
Oh, good.
So you get that experience by getting an old truck, getting whatever. Even if I can't say it's super motivating to like replace the water pump on your Plymouth Voyager. I don't know.
No, but like everybody has their comfort level, and it all depends on like what these accomplishments things do for you.
But I agree. Like I've seen a lot of like personal satisfaction from a guy that's like a new, not a car guy per se, or not a lot of experience, who does change their water pump and go, I did that. My car, I didn't have to take it to a mechanic, man.
Yeah.
And they're brimming with pride.
I know people that they can build this thing top to bottom as a 5-star like SEMA build super truck, and they will take their daily driver and drop it off at a mechanic because they're like, I don't want to deal with it. Like, this is fun. This is a pain in the neck, and I just want the thing to work. It's like, just drop it off, fix it, call me when it's done. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's like,
I do that sometimes.
People are like, why would you take it to another guy if you know you can do it? And it's like, because I just don't want to do it.
Yeah,
my dad was a farmer. He could fix stuff, but he would still take the trucks to the mechanic. He was like, let someone else deal with some of this stuff.
Okay, so back to like getting into four-wheeling. One thing that like I remember when I was a kid growing up in Connecticut, not far from Pennsylvania, I don't know if it was open land or not, but there was like tons of woods, dude, that we used to just like take our trucks and dirt bikes and like go find trails and like do whatever. No one was telling us otherwise, so it was a thing. But like more and more, and I remember when I first moved to California, there was this one particular road that we would drive up. There was all these offshoots that just went up into the woods, and we would stay on trail for what we knew to be responsible four-wheeling. But like a couple of years later, we see gates and locks and chains on the fence. You know, there was fences, and it's like, where do we go? So then I discovered Hollister Hills, and like, this is a miracle. There's a place you can go legally and have a great time. So let's talk about what is, from your experience, I know you're not an expert, but you have a lot of experience, like land use. Like, for example, there's a big thing going on right now, like they're trying to shut down Pismo to vehicles.
They always try to shut down Pismo. And the article I read today was that they've been trying to determine how much silica dust was getting thrown in the air by the off-road vehicles. And they've been claiming that the silica dust is getting thrown in the air by the off-road vehicles, and it's blowing into the neighborhoods, and it's giving people black lung, and they're all going to die. So COVID-19 hits, and they shut down the dunes for a couple months, and guess what?
Same amount.
Same amount.
Okay.
And guess what? They did another study where they brought in, like, the people that were trying to shut down the dunes brought in scientists to, like, measure the dust. And they were like, look, OSHA, who requires you to wear safety goggles and not stay on the top of your ladder. OSHA says there can only be this much dust in the air. Mm-hmm. How much dust is there? Not that much. Their own study rebuked their whole argument.
Wow.
And it's just like, there's people that just don't like your hobby, and they're like, I don't like their hobby. I don't like their black socks, and I don't like their flat bill hats, and I don't like their neck tattoos, and I don't want to see them on the beach because I just bought a house right here and I want them gone. And it's like, well, guess what? California's this big, and we get that much beach to drive on.
Right.
Like, you want to live by the beach, and you don't want to live by the guys with the black socks and the flat bill hats and the neck tattoos, even though they're a fine, upstanding man, and he's got a job, and he's bought a diesel truck, and he's bought a toter home, and he's got kids, and he's got a wife, and he pays his bills, and he pays his taxes just like all of you, and he wants to go out to the dunes and rip around on his UTV, and like, he'll run the flag, and he doesn't drink and drive, and he just wants to be by the beach and do his thing, and he just wants to do it one weekend a month, or one weekend every 6 months, because that's the way he was raised by his parents, and his parents were raised by their parents, and you don't want to live by that because you don't like them. Guess what? Move somewhere else.
That's right.
Like, let them have this little tiny, minuscule fingernail clipping of coastline to do what they want. Like, there's enough room for everybody.
Right.
And like, you want to park your house right, you want to buy a house right there, and then you say that it's hurting it. It's not, though. Like, their own science is not supporting it. Now, you want to go out to the dunes and get drunk and run each other over? You're a problem. You want to go out to the dunes and leave trash? You want to go anywhere on the trail and leave trash? You're a problem. Like, you want your trails kept open? Take care of them. You see some people hiking? Slow down.
Yep.
Like, offer them a bottle of water from your cooler. Offer them a beer from your cooler if that's what you have in there. But just be nice to the other people on the trail. Like, all of a sudden, all the people from the Sierra Club are going to be like, I was out hiking and a bunch of Jeeps drove by and they offered me a sandwich. And it was vegan even. They were even willing to make it without ham on it. Like, how do I hate these people? And it's like, don't hate the other people. Just get along, and they'll let you get along. And it's like, I fully agree that there are places that we don't need to be driving our trucks.
Yeah.
We don't need to drive everywhere. But I also fully agree that there are places that we should be allowed to drive our trucks.
Have access.
And if you have the access, like, take care of it. Even if it's private land, go to the private landowner and be like, dude, in the back 40 of your farm, it looks like there's some boulders. Like, what would it take for me and my buddies to bring our rock crawlers out there and rock crawl? Farmer's like, well, I don't know about that. Well, I won't drive in the field. I won't scare the cows. That looks cool. And it's like, you just ask him. The worst he's going to say is, nope, sorry. But he might be like, rock crawler, what's that? Oh, wow, I want one of those. And then all of a sudden, you got a new friend, and he owns private land, and it's got rocks on it. And it's like, I feel like so many people want to hate each other for some reason. Like, they want to fight. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you don't need that. You can just back off a little bit and be like, hey, we want to go four-wheeling. Like, we're going to come to Pismo. We're going to buy a bunch of gas. We're going to go to your restaurants. We're going to go to your hotels. We're going to spend money in this town.
Dude, the economic, I read when I first read that first article about it, the economic impact to like Pismo and the surrounding communities, something like $40 million. It's something, it was some astronomical number.
If I see, like, if I'm on I-5 on Sunday, like anywhere near, not I-5, 101 on Sunday near Pismo, you always see a diesel truck broke down with a toy hauler and a pissed off wife and like two kids playing in the side rail, and the guy's like pulling his hair out because he's got to get back home by Monday. And I'm like, I feel bad for you, but I'm stoked because you're going to pay the diesel guy, you're going to pay the tow truck guy, you're going to spend a bunch of money to get your stuff home. And it's like, that's all the economy that's helping.
That's right.
Like, and it's the same across the board. Like, when people are like, well, that guy, he didn't build that truck, he bought it. And it's like, yeah, but he spent money, and he spent money in our sport.
I love that.
He bought an Atlas, even though he doesn't know how to do a front dig. He bought an Atlas, and that allows you to be able to buy an Atlas, because Advanced Adapters can't make one Atlas. They got to make 1,000 of them. Or you can now buy the adapter to put an SM420 in your flat fender because like it all kind of spreads out. So there's nothing wrong with buying the stuff from the companies in our sport because it all trickles down. There is something wrong with being a jerk on the trail because it gets
100%.
trails closed. There's a lot of different organizations, and I don't know them all. But like if you're in your 4x4 and you see trash on the ground, pick it up. Or if you see someone hiking and you're like, hey, do you want a bottle of water? And they'll probably be like, no, I'm good. Do you have any trash you want me to haul out for you? I got a pickup truck here.
Great,
or you got
man.
anything you want to ride? I can get you to the trailhead if you're tired. It's like, just be a good person. Like the same way you would in your hometown if you saw your buddy walking. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah.
And people want it to be hard, and people want to fight because they don't like this person's politics or that person's politics. But at the end of the day, it's like we all just want to like enjoy the country, and the easier you are to get along with, the more likely you are to get to see more cool stuff.
Well said, dude.
So.
That's great. I love that. The good philosophy, man. And I think the more people 100% agree with you. Like people like needlessly tearing up trails or going off trail, that's worth saying something, like, because the more people that do, that's the people that give the sport a bad name.
When you take your customers out to Moab and they've never been to Moab and they've never been off-road before, like, you want to tell them safe things to do, but you also want to tell them like the right thing to do.
That's
so
right.
You're like, hey, so here's the deal. Like, this is the trail. It's obviously marked. And over here, you can see this diatomaceous dirt, which is 10 million years old, and you're not supposed to walk on it. It's like, stay off of that.
Yep.
Otherwise, they'll shut down the trail. So it's our jobs as experienced people to educate people, and don't be a jerk about the education.
That's right.
Either.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are like, you're doing this wrong. It's like, no, just chill out. Like if you walk into my shop and start yelling at me, like I'm going to be like, get out. And if I'm on the trail and you walk up to me and start yelling at me, I'm like, you're not
right.
Your case is not being made. But if
That's
you come
right.
over and you're like, hey man, I just noticed like an empty soda bottle fell out of the back of your Jeep. Oh, really? Let's pick it up. Here, throw it in there. Put it in. It's like everybody makes mistakes, and some people just don't. Some people make mistakes because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So,
and have you seen, like, I feel like people are getting more aware, like more conscious of just being good stewards of, because it's so like, it is on, I mean, it's like a 50-50, like you think like, no, it's our country. We should have access to a lot of places. But at the same time, you're grateful for the access that we have.
Oh yeah.
So it's a good thing to just have that attitude. But man, how cool is it? Like, there's so many awesome, amazing, mind-blowing places that you can get to in your 4x4.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
I think the East Coast it's a bummer that there's not as much public land, but there's a bunch of great off-road parks.
Yeah, that's a great new
like
development.
amazing ones. And like, we were at a park a couple years ago, and it was literally an hour from downtown Manhattan.
Really?
And
Wow.
they were like, yeah, people live in New York, and they bought a Range Rover, or they want to buy a Jeep, and they don't know where to go, and so they come out here.
That's kind of a new thing last 5-10 years, like, right? Just like
Yeah, I would say in the last 15, 20 years, like, the off-road park industry has grown.
it's good.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
It is good because there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of people that want to do it, and there's just no place to go.
All right. Like I know. Thank you so much for your time. And in closing, talk about maybe some of your favorite vehicles and why. I know you have so many, dude. You have you're a Jeep guy,
Favorite vehicles and why?
like just like do you like old carbureted stuff, or you like the old flat fenders?
No, I don't like old carbureted stuff. I mean, if it works, I like it.
Yeah,
I have a 72 Wagoneer that is pretty stock, and right now it's one of my favorite things to drive.
Cool.
In fact, that was the one that I was doing that show because I wanted to put air conditioning on it, and because it's really getting hot in the summer here, and I was like, I would drive this year round if I had AC, and I didn't get the kit installed yet. I have the Jeep I drove underwater that has a Cummins R28 that's just a little TJ, and it's got a 60 and a 44 and 38-inch tall tires, and it's pretty low, and it's just
Is that an AX15?
NV3550
Okay.
and an Atlas.
It holds up. The transmission holds up well.
Yeah,
That's great.
but I don't
Right.
beat on it, but I've driven it like to Colorado and back, and
Mm-hmm.
so I have a Jeep with an LS supercharged engine. I kind of have a variety of stuff. Like I have stuff with big horsepower and I have stuff with small horsepower, and I don't really like. I probably have over 20 cars, and there's any day of the week I would say I should have half that. And at the same time, if you ask me, well, which 10 are you going to get rid of? I'd be like, I don't know. I can't get rid of any of them.
I know.
So it's just dumb because stuff owns you, and I look up to some of my friends that only have one 4x4. Like I think if you had a nice tow rig, a nice 4x4 for running fun, hard trails that you could also maybe street drive every now and then, and a sports car, you pretty much have the world set. But then you also need like a cruiser to go get coffee, and you want like some retro, and you need an overlander, you need a retro overlander, and you need an extreme overlander, and then you need a full-blown rock buggy, and then you need a mud truck, and then you need a
dual sport motorcycle.
A couple. I don't ride those things; they fall over. But basically, that's when it snowballs, and you're like, yeah, I totally need another Jeep, even though I don't have any use for another Jeep. So I don't have one. That's my favorite. Today, if I was going to walk into a store and buy a Jeep or buy some vehicle, I'd either buy a diesel Colorado ZR2 or a diesel JL Wrangler Unlimited. Yeah. I like diesels, and I think they're neat, and I think that those two would be the trucks.
I'm taking the Gladiator. You've driven those, right?
Yeah, but I have a truck.
Yeah.
And I have a 1-ton Ram crew cab short bed, so I don't need another.
Did you ever sell the Alaska?
No, you want to buy it?
No, like
I got an Army truck that one of you viewers needs.
PSA.
It's got an 8.1. It's got a 4L80. It's got an Atlas. It's got Dana 16 and 14 bolt portal axles and 40-inch tires.
It's a sick truck, man.
It's sick. It's a basically an old Army Cuck-V truck, CUCV. It's a Chevy 1-ton pickup regular cab long bed. It drives nice. It has great brakes. It steers easy. I just want somebody to show up with a bunch of money.
So word to the New Legend community, if you need a rad truck, or even if you don't need one.
Even if you don't need one, still, I don't care. If you need
hit Fred up. It's a really great truck. I just don't use
it, and that's.
Well, what I like about it is it's tested and it's like tried and true. It's not like you just built it and like drove it down the street.
No, we had it in Alaska and wheeled it around, and it's got a full cage. Somebody should, like, I have a lot of people that tell me they love it and they want it, and then but everybody just wants to buy a JK or a new Toyota Tacoma, and it's
boring, man.
Yeah.
That's fine. We support those things too.
Everybody has their level of comfort.
Well, good. Another last thing, Fred and I, we enjoy coffee together, so let's go get a coffee sometime.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm trying to cut back.
You are?
Yeah, trying to do one. I have one really good cup in the morning.
That's good. That's all I have.
And then I find it about 3 hours later, and I'm like, I still have some left. And I feel good. But if I go for afternoon coffee, then I'm just up all night.
One thing, just last thing, we'll close on this, that Fred has inspired me to do is like get off the beaten path. When you're on like road trips, it's so easy just to look for the nearest Starbucks. But like get off the path a little bit, and you find these like rad like local coffee shops are just a great way to experience the community.
Somebody told me there's something wrong with Yelp. I don't know what they did or who they ticked off, but I use Yelp all the time to find coffee shops and restaurants and places I can go with my dogs. So I'm sorry if there's some reason why Yelp isn't on the good guy list this month, but I still use it. I think it's...
But yeah, get off the beaten path, discover those local little communities, and meet some really nice... Like, those people are so nice. I sent you a picture from that Nebraska.
Especially right now when, like, lots of these companies are hurting. When I was home for pandemic, I, ordered bakery food from my favorite bakery in Oregon. And it's like, I didn't need that, but I was like, I don't want them to go out of business.
That's right, man.
So get out there, especially as soon as business is open, or if they're open right now, get out there and spend some money with them and keep them in business.
Yes. And on that note, Fred, thank you so much, man. It's been a fun episode.
Sure.
We'll do it again. And yeah, thanks for just being a friend and chilling.
Good luck.
See you next time.
See you next time.